A lot of women say they want a man who shares his emotions, but here's what nobody tells you. The moment you share your feelings, many women actually get turned off, because you sharing your feelings isn't actually what women want. I know it's confusing, and that confusion is a reason so many guys feel like they can't win, like they're stuck between being too emotional or being too unemotional, and either way, their partner is unhappy. So here's what I'm going to give you in this video. I'm going to show you 1, the exact reason why sharing your emotions pushes her away. 2, what she actually wants when she asks you about your feelings. And 3, a simple framework you can use tonight, literally tonight, to start shifting how you handle your emotions in a way that actually makes her more attracted to you and not less. So here's the situation most guys are stuck in. You've heard completely opposite pieces of advice. On one side, you've got people telling you, man up, don't be emotional, don't show weakness. So you push your emotions aside and say, I'm fine whenever your girlfriend asks you how you're doing. Or you've got your girlfriend, your wife, the entire internet telling you to be vulnerable, to share your feelings, to open up. So after work, you vent and tell her everything, how stressed you are at the job, how your colleague disrespected you at the office, or how you're scared you're going to get fired. And your girlfriend listens, but her eyes look empty, as if she's zoning out. Basically, whenever you vent, the connection between you and your partner dies. And then you're lying in bed later that night thinking, I did everything right, I opened up, I shared my feelings, and now she looks at me as if I'm less. So then you're more confused than ever. You don't know what she actually wants, you feel like you can't win. I'm going to break down first why oversharing your emotions makes her less attracted to you, even though she literally asked you to open up. Second, why never sharing your emotions also destroys attraction, even though you think you're being strong. And third, what she's actually looking for when she says, I want you to share your feelings, because it's not what you think. It goes way deeper than just emotions, and understanding this one thing will change how you show up with your woman, your girlfriend, your friend, your colleague, whatever. My name's Henry, and I coach analytical, introverted men to overcome their anxiety and build confidence. I teach men that which the self-help industry is too afraid to say. If you're a guy who's been confused about this, stay with me. Hit subscribe if you're new here, because every week I break down the real stuff that actually helps men get stronger, not the surface level advice you've heard 1,000 times. Let's start with the first mistake, oversharing your emotions. A lot of guys hear be vulnerable and they think that means tell her everything you're feeling all the time with no filter. So you vent and share everything that's on your mind. Now here's what's actually happening when you do this. You're subtly telling your girlfriend, I have all these problems in my life, they keep coming up, but I can't fix them. I am stuck, I am helpless. So basically what you're saying, and I know this sounds a bit harsh, what you're saying to your girlfriend is, I'm not taking responsibility for my problems, I'm just complaining about them or telling you about them. So you're basically dumping your emotional burdens onto the relationship, onto her. And in that moment, whether you realize it or not, you've shifted into a position where she has to take care of you a bit like a therapist. You've gone from being the guy she leans into, the guy who makes her feel safe and protected, to being a person she has to manage and take care of. Let me paint a picture of what this actually looks like, because I think you might recognize it. You come home from work after your boss gave you a hard time, so you sit down with your girlfriend and it all comes pouring out. The stress, the self-doubt, and as you're talking, you hear yourself. You sound like you're drowning in your emotions. You're looking at her with those eyes that say, save me, please tell me it's going to be okay, tell me I'm enough. And she does. She says the right things, but something in her energy shifts, and over the next days, she becomes a little bit more distant. She starts making more decisions without asking you. She starts treating you less like someone she respects and more like someone she needs to take care of. You know that feeling when you can sense that the dynamic has changed between you, but you can't quite put your finger on it? Here's why. When you vent your emotions like that, she registers something she can't quite put into words. She feels, my man is not facing life right now. He's shrinking from it. He's not standing up to his colleague. He's not fixing his anxiety. And that kills attraction, because you're no longer a leader. You're no longer a protector to her. Rather, you've become a follower who needs guidance. When you overshare, you're pushing the responsibility of how you feel into her hands. Again, which makes her less attracted to you. And disclaimer, I'm referring here to men who constantly overshare their emotions. If you overshare your emotions just once, your woman isn't going to completely lose attraction to you. Okay, so don't worry about that. But be honest with yourself right now. Do you overshare your emotions sometimes to your partner? Tell me in the comments, no judgment. Most guys have been there, and so have I. And by the way, if you struggle with anxiety, I made a video explaining exactly what causes anxiety and how to fix it. Link up here. Now here's where most guys go wrong. They hear what I just said and then they think, okay, cool, so I just need to shut up and not share my feelings. be stoic, be a rock. And that's the second mistake that guys make. Here's what the emotional shutdown looks like. And I want you to really check yourself here because this one is sneaky. And a lot of guys think this is what a strong man looks like. When your partner asks you what's wrong or how you're doing, and you know something kind of feels off, but you reply to her with, "I'm fine," on the surface, it looks like you're handling it. You say, "I don't need to talk about it. I'm not one of those guys who gets emotional." But here's what's actually happening, and this is the part that might sting. That's not necessarily strength. That's hiding from your feelings, and hiding is just another way of saying, I have a problem, something is troubling me, but I'm not taking responsibility for it. I'm not taking a look at what's going on. Let me give you an idea of what this looks like in real life because I see this pattern with a lot of the guys I coach. You come home, your girlfriend asks, "How was your day?" You say, "Fine." She can tell something is off, so she asks again, "Are you sure?" You seem stressed. And then you snap and say, "I'm fine." So she backs off, and then you spend the rest of the night alone on the couch, zoned out, scrolling, gaming, drinking, whatever your version of numbing is. And you do this night after night or week after week. And here's what's happening inside of you, which you're probably not admitting. There's that voice going, "I feel like I'm falling behind." I look at the other guys and they just seem to have this natural confidence, this presence. They take up space like they belong there, and I feel like I'm faking it. Like I'm not a real man, like everyone else can see it. So you're basically full of insecurity. But instead of facing that, instead of looking at it and going, "Okay, this is what I'm dealing with. What am I going to do about it?" You shove it down, you numb it, you distract yourself. But your woman, and unfortunately, well, kind of unfortunately, women are extremely good at sensing this, she sees right through it. When you come home and immediately disappear onto your phone, when you get distant and cold, when you refuse to engage, she doesn't think, "Wow, he's being so stoic and strong." She thinks he's running, he's hiding, he's not facing whatever is going on inside of him. And this is her analysis. She thinks, if he can't face his own feelings, how is he going to face the hard stuff in our life together? Like having kids, dealing with relationship conflicts, or dealing with challenges like moving house or spending Christmas with the in-laws. So basically, oversharing your emotions and running from your emotions by shutting them down have the same root. Both are about avoiding responsibility. Both are refusing to face what's actually going on. Both are the opposite of leadership. And here's the deeper problem most men never hear about. The real issue isn't that men feel too much, it's that most men were never taught how to handle their emotions in a stable way. Attraction isn't built on being emotionless, it's built on emotional stability. A man who can feel his emotions without being controlled by them, that is very, very attractive to women. And here's what nobody tells you about what happens if nothing changes. If you keep doing either of these, dumping your emotions or running from them, the attraction in your relationship will slowly die. The passion begins to disappear, you become more like roommates than lovers, she starts making all the decisions in your relationship because she doesn't trust you to lead, she starts becoming like your mother. And then resentment builds on both sides. Some guys end up in a sexless marriage because of this, and some women also leave their man because of this. Not because these guys didn't care, but because nobody ever showed them the real masculine way to share your feelings. What would you say, which one of these is more of your pattern? The emotional dump or the emotional shutdown? Most guys lean in one way. Drop it in the comments. So now you might be thinking, okay, so I can't share my emotions and I can't not share my emotions. What am I supposed to do? This is where the real insight is, and this is what really changes everything for the guys I work with in my coaching program. Because the answer isn't about sharing or not sharing, it was actually never about that. It's about something much deeper. When a woman says, "Please share your emotions with me," she is not saying, "Please dump your anxiety on me so I can fix it for you." And she is not saying, "Tell me you're fine when you're clearly falling apart inside." What she's actually saying, and a lot of women can't put this into words, is, show me that you see what's going on inside of you. Show me that you're not running from it. And show me that you're taking responsibility for it. That's it. That's the whole thing. Because what she's looking for is a man who has emotional leadership. She wants to feel that when life gets hard, when there's stress, conflict, uncertainty, you're the kind of man who can stay grounded and hold the situation. Not a man who whines and complains. Not a man who shuts down and disappears. A man who can feel what's happening, stay stable, and move forward. She doesn't need you to have all the answers. She doesn't need you to never feel stressed or scared or overwhelmed. She needs to see that when those feelings come up, you don't shrink into being a victim, that you don't run, that you face them, you own them, and you move forwards in life. Let me make this concrete so it really lands. Imagine you're going through a rough patch at work. There's a talk of layoffs. You're stressed, you're anxious, you've got that knot in your stomach, and that voice going, "What if I lose my job? What if she sees me as a failure?" Here are 3 ways you could handle this. Option A, the emotional dump. You come home, sit on the couch, and it all comes out. "I think I'm going to get fired. I don't know what to do. I'm so stressed. What if we can't pay rent? I feel like such a failure." And then you look at your girlfriend with those eyes, the ones that say, "Please make these feelings go away. Please save me." Option B, the shutdown. You come home, say nothing. She asks how your day was. Fine, you grab a beer, turn on the TV, and disappear. She can feel something is wrong, but you won't let her in. You do this for weeks, the tension builds, you start snapping at her over small things, and neither of you knows how to break the cycle. Option C, ownership. You come home, you sit down with her and you say, hey, I want to be straight with you. Things at work are uncertain right now. There's a chance I could lose my position. I'm not going to lie. It's been on my mind. But I've already updated my resume. I'm reaching out to some contacts and I'm putting a plan together. I wanted you to know what's going on and I've got this. Feel the difference? In all three, the emotion is the same. Stress, fear, uncertainty, but the relationship to the emotion, the way you're owning it, is completely different. In option A, the shutdown, the emotion owns you, you're drowning in it. In option B, you're pretending the emotion doesn't exist, you're hiding from it, and in option C, you own the emotion. You see it, you name it, you acknowledge it, and then you take responsibility for what you're going to do about it. That is what she's looking for. Not the absence of the emotion, not the flood of emotion, a man who can hold his emotions, feel them fully without being destroyed by them, and then act. Here's the deeper layer that most guys completely miss. When she asks you to share your emotions, she's not asking about the emotions at all. She's checking something and she doesn't even know she's doing it consciously. She's checking, is my man facing life? Is he growing? Is he someone who confronts reality or someone who hides from it? Because a man who faces his own emotions is a man who faces life. And a man who faces life is capable of being a leader, a protector, a father, someone who she can trust, who she can relax into, someone who creates that deep magnetic pull that makes a relationship feel passionate. And a man who avoids his emotions, whether by dumping them or burying them, is a man who's not facing life. He's shrinking, and no matter how successful he is on paper, she can feel it, and the attraction will die. If this is clicking with you, I write about this stuff every week in my newsletter. I go deeper into the psychology of what actually makes men strong, not just the be confident bro stuff, but the real patterns that keep you stuck and how to break them. I'll drop the link in the description. It's for free. So let me give you something you can actually use, because this is what emotional leadership looks like in practice. I call it the ownership framework. 3 steps, simple. Step 1, notice. When an emotion comes up, stress, anger, fear, that tightness in your chest, that voice that says you're not good enough, don't push it away and don't let it swallow you. Just notice it. Name it to yourself. I'm feeling anxious right now. That's it. Just, I see you. This sounds basic, but most guys skip this step. They either go straight into dumping it onto their partner, or they go straight into numbing it with a drink, their phone, or PlayStation. Just pausing and going, I'm feeling stressed right now. That alone is a massive shift. Step 2, own it. Ask yourself, what is this emotion pointing to? What situation in my life needs attention? Because emotions aren't random noise, they're signals. They're telling you something needs to be faced. And your job is to figure out what that is. So if you're feeling anxious about work, okay, what specifically? Is it that you haven't had a conversation with your boss about your role? Is it that you need to make a career change but you're scared? Get specific, because just I feel bad is too unclear. But I'm anxious because I've been avoiding a hard conversation with my boss. That's ownership. Step 3, move. Take 1 step towards the problem. Not a perfect step, just one that says, I see the problem and I'm moving towards it, not from it. Update the resume, have the conversation, book the appointment, make a call. And then if you want to share it with your partner, you share from that place. Not from drowning, save me, but from here's what I'm dealing with, here's what I'm going to do about it, and I wanted you to know. When you do this, her attraction deepens because she's watching a man who feels his emotions fully and takes responsibility for them, and that's rare. Now, I want to be honest with you, this framework is a good starting point. If you practice it, you will notice a difference, but the framework alone isn't enough to get the full transformation, to really make your girlfriend more attracted to you again. Because most men have deeper patterns running underneath, patterns around confidence, confrontation, responsibility, and how they learn to deal with emotions growing up. And those patterns can't fully change from just watching a single YouTube video. They change when you actually work through them. The analytical, introverted guys I work with in my coaching program, they come in feeling exactly how you might feel right now. That tightness in your chest when she asks you what's wrong. They freeze when they don't know whether to open up or shut down. And what they walk out with from my coaching program is completely different. After the coaching, they're able to walk into a room where they feel like they belong. They have hard conversations without their heart pounding out of their chest. Their woman looks at them differently with that admiration and attraction that had been missing. The men stop performing and finally start being themselves. That's not something that just a 3-step framework gives you. That's deep work. That's what coaching is for. And if that sounds like what you need, if you're tired of feeling stuck between dumping your emotions or shutting down, if you want to actually feel like a strong man instead of just performing like one, the link to book a free one-to-one clarity call is in the description. We'll have a conversation and I'll help you understand exactly what's keeping you stuck, and we'll figure out if we're a good fit. I want to leave you with something important, because I think there's a lot of guys that watch videos like this, they nod along, they think, yeah, that makes sense, and then they go right back to the same old pattern. So let me be straight with you about what happens if nothing changes. The pattern you're in right now, the dumping or the shutting down, it doesn't stay the same, it gets worse. Because every time you avoid facing your emotions, you're training yourself to be weaker. You're reinforcing the belief that you can't handle life, and that belief leaks into everything. Your partner becomes even less attracted to you. You start feeling like roommates. You start having less sex. She starts making all the decisions because she's given up on you stepping up. You feel more and more powerless in your own home, like you're just along for the ride in your own life. At work, you probably keep subordinating yourself. You don't speak up in meetings, you don't ask for the promotion. Maybe you let your colleagues walk over you because confrontation feels impossible. And that voice that says, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not a real man, it gets louder basically every day. That's not a life, that's a prison. And the walls are made of patterns that you can change if you decide to. 5 years from now, you're either the guy who faced this and transformed, who then walks into rooms with his shoulders back, full of confidence, who leads in his relationship, who feels genuinely strong and grounded, or you're the same guy 5 years deeper into the same patterns, wondering where the time went. The choice is yours, but don't pretend the choice doesn't exist. Now, if you related to what I said about shutting down, about letting her take over, about feeling like you have no power in your relationship, I made a video specifically about that. It's about how men can stop being a doormat in their relationship, how to actually take your power back without being aggressive or turning into a jerk. It connects directly to everything we talked about today, so it's going to resonate with you. I'll link it here. So let me bring this all together. The question was never, should men share their emotions? That's the wrong question. The right question is, how are you relating to your emotions? If you're dumping them on your partner without ownership, you're not leading and she feels it. If you're burying them and numbing out with games, drinks, work, you're still not leading and she feels that too. But if you're noticing what you feel, owning what it's pointing to, and then moving towards the problem instead of away from it, that is what makes her feel safe. That is what creates magnetic attraction. That is what makes you feel like the man you know you're supposed to be. That is emotional leadership. If this hit home for you, if something clicked, drop a comment and tell me, which pattern have you been stuck in? The emotional dump or undersharing your feelings? And what's one situation where you're going to try the ownership framework this week? I read all the comments. And if you know a guy who needed to hear this, a friend, a brother, someone who's been struggling with this stuff, send him this video. Most men never talk about this, but they need to. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for somebody is to send them a video that changes how they see themselves. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. Every week I break down the real psychology behind what makes men strong, the deep stuff that actually changes your life, not the generic just be confident advice. And don't forget, my newsletter is linked in the description. Every week I go deeper into the stuff, the patterns that make men stuck, the psychology behind why you do what you do, and the specific shifts that actually create a change, and the stuff that the self-help industry is too afraid to tell you. It's free and it's the kind of stuff you won't find anywhere else. Link in the description. I'll see you guys in the next video.